People podcast listeners. I think we're live.
I
You will
think
have to
so.
let us. You will have to let us know in the chat because we are trying something completely different with new software and everything tonight on the technical side of things. But this is the Purple People podcast, episode number 357. This is the Vikings versus the Saints, the preseason review. I am Kyle West, accompanied by Adam Carlson.
Hi there. Yeah, you'll have to forgive us. We're trying out a new way of doing the show because YouTube has made some changes and discontinued Hangouts on air. So we're trying to find a way to keep the show live, to keep coming to you so we can have discussions in the chat and keep interacting. And honestly, just keep the evolution of the show going because we don't want to go back to recording a show and just uploading it. Yuck.
Yeah, I refuse. We all refuse to do that. Like, this is either live or nothing for us here at the podcast. We also have Kyle Smith with us this evening.
I apologize in advance, everyone. You'll probably hear me fine, but I will probably be the same quality as those dirty movies you tried to download from LimeWire about 15 years ago. So just bear with me here. I'm in the middle of nowhere, but I didn't want to miss the show. So glad we got this. This is going to be a cool setup once we get all the kinks worked out, though. There's a lot of cool stuff we were just messing around with. Adam and Kyle were doing before. We can change the video setup. This, as you see now, is a 3-column setup. We can change the format of that. Adam can go through and type in funny stuff throughout. We can mute people like you see on ESPN's PTI. There's all kinds. It's not PTI. What is that? Around the horn. Sorry. But you can do all kinds of cool stuff here. I'm super excited for this format. And I'm even more excited that we played a football game yesterday.
Well, we didn't, but the Vikings did.
I'm part of the family.
Ripping ideas. Hey, if we're just ripping ideas from ESPN, that means I want my own whiteboard that I can just like write dumb shit on.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
But yeah, what we're really here to talk about, if I can make as much noise as possible in the background, is the Vikings versus the Saints. But before we get there, before we do, because we're going to do a full-on deep dive, like, review. This is what we love doing. We're going to give out some game balls. We're going to give out some donkeys. But before we get to that game, we got a little bit of quick hits, a little bit of stuff to indulge ourselves in before we get there. So CBS Sports, they made a prediction that the Minnesota Vikings will have a surprise breakout offense in 2019. And the reason for this is they say that the hiring of Gary Kubiak by the Vikings is one of the most underrated additions of the entire NFL offseason. Adam, what do you think of that one?
I think the Vikings had a lot of talent to be a top offense last year, but that offensive line kept holding them back, and there were injuries to Dalvin Cook, and you had Stephon Diggs missing some time. You had Adam Thielen with a back injury, and the whole thing added up to an offense just couldn't really get the ball moving. And I think that all really started off with the death of the offensive line coach. And I thought this year is a chance to start new. I mean, not really forget the past, but kind of build off it with new people and new faces and new places. And it's more of a fresh start than a revamping, and I think that's exactly what the Vikings need to do.
Yeah, spot on.
We didn't mention DiFilippo in there. I just don't think he was the right hire or a good fit either way. You guys know that I always say Mike Zimmer's like Diet Bill Belichick. He's very blunt and very direct most of the time with the media. When he's out there directly saying he's not happy that we're not running the ball, we kind of saw the writing that was on the wall last year. So all the things that Adam said combined with the OC that just wasn't a good fit. I'm excited for this. I know for a fact on this show, ever since we signed Gary Kubiak to be, what is his title? Does anybody know what the official title is? Assistant head coach?
Assistant head coach, offensive advisor, or something like that.
Something like that. Whatever title it is, it's better than what Brad Childress had wherever he went. Whatever his title is, I've been saying this for a while, and I think that it'll help a lot because I think an offense should be about balance. You know, unless you've got a Zeke Elliott or like we had Adrian Peterson, 7-8 years ago. You need to balance the offense out. It doesn't need to rely on one thing mostly because once you shut that down, it becomes very generic and predictable. So I'm excited for this hire. I've been saying that for a minute.
I think it's a great hire. I think that there is a much larger respect level between Mike Zimmer and Gary Kubiak from everything that I've heard Zimmer talk about this offseason. And I think that puts them 100% on the same page. And that's how you get good results. And like you said, Adam, you take a look at this team. This is one of the most talented rosters the Vikings have had up and down,
It's true.
Especially on the offensive side of the football. I've been talking to some other Vikings fans about like Kirk Cousins and just the weapons that they have in place around him. This is his best opportunity for him to take that next step forward. And if he doesn't do it with like this group of receivers and running backs and tight ends, he's just not going to. Like, this is his best chance to succeed as well.
Yeah, there'll always be those knocks and those question marks. Can Kirk Cousins win against teams with winning records? Can he take the team to the playoffs and make a playoff run? I mean, there are those limitations that the Vikings have had in the past, that Vikings players haven't been able to overcome in the past. But this is the future. This is 2019. The season's coming up. And it's an opportunity for these players to prove that they aren't those guys that can't get things done. The fact that the Vikings have never won a Super Bowl, yeah, it hurts. But you know what? I have faith that it will happen someday. And I'm not saying it's going to be 2019, but there's a chance.
Good a shot of any. And we got to see our first little bit of what, Gary Kubiak could potentially bring to this offense based on what we've seen from that first drive from the Vikings, which we'll get to talk about here in a little bit. And I was really pretty happy with what the first team offense was able to put together out there on the field. Let's see here. Oh, this next one is funny. Did you guys notice the slight color change for the color purple on the Vikings helmets that they made?
If not for them mentioning it during the broadcast, I wouldn't have noticed.
I saw it on Instagram, and they had a poll on one of the pages that I follow. Honestly, I couldn't really tell much of a difference.
I had noticed it, and this was, back in 2013, we got the new jerseys and shit. And I had always thought that it was like a design choice, because I did notice that the helmets were a different color shade purple than the jerseys. I also do a lot of photography work, so I pay attention to colors and shit. But I thought that it was like a design choice, that like, oh, they purposely made the helmets a different shade of purple than the jerseys. Apparently, that was not supposed to be the case, so they tweaked it a little bit to make sure that the jerseys now match the helmets. When you watch them, there's a photo of Kyle Rudolph with the two side by side. And you can tell that, oh, they do match a little bit better. Can you guys hear that dinging right now?
No.
Yeah, that was me. I put a message up. We can now highlight comments that people put on YouTube. So, like when I said trying something new.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's going to take interaction up a little bit.
That will encourage people in the chat to join in and say awesome things, because we can highlight you on the show.
Yeah, this new setup, there's so much to play with. I can't wait to mess with it.
That's what she said. What's next?
The last quick hit is that awful cornerback that we signed. Do we even want to talk about that?
Oh, what do we got to say about him?
We signed him. His name's what? Ben Wicker. Adam, how do you pronounce this guy's last name?
I don't pronounce it.
This is the first news I'm hearing of this. We signed another quarterback.
Corner.
Oh, the corner.
Oh,
yeah.
corner. I was about to say, what? I still didn't hear about this, so this is news for me.
He played in the preseason game, and he immediately did not impress. He was the guy that gave up over 200 yards to Julio.
Yeah.
Oh, God. We talked about this in the chat. Never mind.
We did.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And he got outplayed by rookies, so.
Poor guy.
We've got some comments here. Real Purple and Gold Minnesota Vikings says, "Skol, guys. We looked pretty good yesterday," and yeah, we did.
That's so cool. It shows like their little profile picture and everything. I'm impressed. How is this software free? How are we not paying for this?
I am not sure. I also know that as we keep going, we're going to find more little cool things like this.
Yeah. Let's talk about the game. Let's just go right into the game, because it's basically the end of the quick hits. That's what we're here to talk about. I got to start out by saying I have not had the opportunity to watch this game yet. This is my plan tomorrow. No, fuck you. I was at work. This is my plan tomorrow before I go into work because I'm going to watch the replay for it. So I've watched some of the highlights, but I'm going to let you guys do like the bulk of the analysis for the actual game. How's that sound?
Sounds fine.
Funny. I didn't get to watch the game either.
What? So what are you guys all going off just like the
man.
stat book and some highlights or what?
You know, it would not be the first time that we've done that to let the cat out of the bag.
I'm in the same boat as Kyle.
Oh, you guys.
I have to do the same thing that Kyle did. I had to watch YouTube today. I had to catch up. I'm in the middle of Tennessee or close to Mississippi. I'm near Memphis now. I have no signal. I'm out on a campground at the moment, so there was no way I could watch. I don't even have Wi-Fi to do the damn show. I'm doing it on my phone right now. So I caught up today, and I can tell you from what little bits that I saw, and we can break it down from there.
All right, well, let's talk about the game a little bit. The Vikings, week 1 in the preseason, went to New Orleans to take on the Saints, and there were some points scored in this game, which was pretty good, but that had to be expected because we all want to see an improved Minnesota Vikings offense. And, of course, the New Orleans Saints, they've got some real good weapons in running backs, receivers, quarterbacks, and they've got a stronger defense than a lot of people think.
Mm-hmm.
So the Vikings made a point this offseason to schedule their preseason to be against some pretty tough teams. And the Saints are one of the NFC's elite. Sure, we didn't get Drew Brees in this game, but on the other hand, the Vikings, we didn't have Dalvin Cook and other people. So while some of the stars didn't play, it was still a really interesting game where quite a bit happened. So let's start things off, as usual, with our game balls and donkeys. And since these two donkeys didn't watch the game, we'll start off with them.
Game ball for me is Trey Waynes.
Waynes looked good. He didn't really have to show off a lot in run support, but that goal line stand that he had where he was able to get out there, and yeah, he might have had a little bit of a hook around Michael Thomas, but, you know, if you can get away with it, it's not illegal, right?
Exactly. I've seen Michael Thomas torch Xavier Rhodes quite a few times, so the fact that our number 2 corner could get in and make a pretty substantial, pass breakup and it being at the goal line at that, was very happy to see it. I want to see Trey play more like that with confidence. We know he has the speed. I can't remember what team it was, but in the past, I remember he wasn't set up necessarily wrong. I think the receiver just had a good break on the ball, and he had to turn around and switch. His breakaway speed from the opposite stance was absolutely phenomenal, and it ended up not being a completion. I forget what game that was and what receiver, but I want to see Trey Waynes play more like that. I really, really like that. It was my favorite part of the highlight, and I didn't go offense, which I really, really wanted to. So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Trey Waynes. I think that it makes me kind of sad that the team didn't lock him down and instead decided to give a contract to Kyle Rudolph, which, don't get me wrong, I like Kyle Rudolph too, but I would rather have that strong defense with that corner that they spent so much time developing than a tight end when I think Irv Smith is really going to revolutionize the position a little bit. So it's kind of bittersweet that Trey Waynes is having a pretty solid preseason, but I understand why he's got your game ball. Mr. West, you want to throw a guess out there?
What? Well, you know how I can't follow the rules, so we can't even make it one preseason game without me splitting up a game ball just immediately.
He's gonna mute you and throw you in the corner.
Yeah, here's where Adam tries out our new mute feature. I'm going to give the first half of my game ball to Adam Carlson for getting our podcast back on the air and finding this encoding software for us so that we can continue doing this. And then for the Vikings side of things, Alexander Madison. I liked what I seen from him. The rookie running back. He looks like he is going to be pretty good for Minnesota in the little limited exposure that we got for him.
Now, those of you who are watching the broadcast on Fox got to see that I sent out a tweet that was shown on air that was saying how I was excited about seeing Alexander Madison, and he showed off some pretty good stuff. He battered his way up through the middle. He caught a pass for a touchdown. He did pretty much anything that you really wanted to see him do.
Yeah. Like I told Kyle Smith this morning, we don't need Dalvin Cook after this season.
Oh, Jesus. Don't worry. I'm going to go on a little rant later.
I'll go with the obvious choice for the game ball. Kirk Cousins completed all his passes, had a nice touchdown, had a nice long pass, scrambled for a first down when he had the yardage in front of him. He had a perfect passer rating for the game. He made great use of the pocket when it was actually there because there was actually a pocket from the offensive line. So
what? What's a pocket? I'm a Vikings fan.
So yeah,
I don't know what that is.
The Vikings gave Kirk Cousins some time, and he was able to pick apart that defense. And he even had a nice first down completion on the first down of the play that got called back because of holding. So I consider that a 5 for 5, for a touchdown. And although he only threw for 65 yards in the game, it felt like he just had a real good command over the field and his team, and he saw the field very well. So I'm definitely going with Kirk Cousins for my game ball.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice.
Solid.
And now you guys get to guess on donkeys because during highlights, they don't really show a lot of low lights. So
No. This is super easy for me because you know what else I read? I read the stat sheet.
Oh.
You know who I wasn't impressed by? Laquan Treadwell.
Oh.
Get the fuck off the team, dude. Get out. Get out of here now. It's official. I'm overhyping it, and I'm jumping the gun after one preseason game. These guys that are coming out competing for the third roster spot, and the unofficial depth chart came out for the offense not too long ago. He's not number 3. He's not number 4. I'm with Kyle West. We talked about this on the side, just him and I. Eat the dead money and send his ass packing somewhere else. Get a late round pick for him.
But you might also be cutting that compensatory pick if you end up letting him go.
Mm.
But is getting a compensatory pick worth potentially losing someone like Olabisi Johnson, who had a real nice preseason game?
Yeah, he did. I don't know. I don't like. I just don't like it, man. I know. I think I talked about this on one of the previous shows too. Is I don't like some of the stuff he handles on social media as well. I've seen people ripping him in the comments, and he got in his feelings, and I get it. You want to defend yourself, but you kind of have to ignore that stuff. I don't see anything coming out like of value with this. So I'm going with the obvious choice. And this is for my boy Dorian Foley because I know he would say the same thing.
Yeah, Dorian hasn't watched the game yet either, but that's why he said he was going to set this one out because he's been busy working and he's had some other plans. So I'm sure he's going to watch the game soon. And as soon as he does, I got a feeling that we're going to hear something about Laquan.
Yep. Dorian's been out there posting like all these photos of all these indie wrestlers. That's what he's busy doing.
I don't blame him. That's fun stuff.
That's some cool shit, man. I haven't seen the game, so I don't have a donkey to give out. So I'm gonna defer to Adam's knowledge on this subject because I'm sure he will have a good one.
I don't know. I've ranted enough about him, and I just feel kind of bad picking on him. But B'nai Benkaware is just I don't understand his role on this team. Before the game even started, after weeks got started, we talked about the team signing him, and maybe he's just struggling from the new system or whatever is going on. But he didn't really do much to impress me before when he was with other teams. The preseason, he went unsigned till recently. I just don't get why he's out there with third teamers and rookies are having a better performance than him. He didn't show like he could be a good tackler as a defensive back, and that's something you kind of have to be in the Vikings defense because you've got so many defensive linemen and linebackers playing that line of scrimmage and run support or rushing the passer that you got to kind of rely on your defensive backs to be solid tacklers. And when he, and I'll use air quotes on this, hit the ball carrier and just kind of flew off him like he was made of feathers or something, it just didn't even make sense. It was one of the most disappointing parts of the game for me. So that's where my donkey goes.
He sounds like the exact opposite of one of my favorite corners for the Vikings, Antoine Winfield, who was a excellent tackler. Hey guys, I like the new fancy pants look of the stream. It is cool, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks, Adam Noir. YouTube did away with the way that we were recording it before, so we're trying some new stuff. And honestly, I think we're really liking this right now.
Yeah, so far so good. This is excellent. I have to do this because it's been in my head for like 3 minutes now that Adam brought this up. For Adam's donkey, all I could think of was Happy Gilmore. You know, the beginning part where his girlfriend breaks up and he says, You want to be a hockey player, but there's a problem. You're not any good. It's so bad. Like, I'm not a pro athlete. I can't say this shit.
Right. I feel bad saying this because anybody who's seen me knows that I am not an athlete. I don't have the body of an athlete. I don't have the competition of an athlete to be on the football field doing these things. And if this is his dream to play football, I hate kind of ripping on him for it. But hopefully if he does hear this, it'll be a little bit more fire for him to take the field and show that, yeah, I've got what it takes to be a pro. And I make some mistakes, sure, but I can overcome them. And I don't want this to be seen as like I hate the guy or anything, but
not at all.
He definitely needs to step it up.
Hey, we've always said on this podcast, when we're critical of a player, we would love nothing more than to be wrong. And
Absolutely.
For them next week to come out and just absolutely ball on the field for us. Like Laquan Treadwell, go catch 3 touchdowns for us in the regular season in a game.
Speaking of that, I got to kind of eat a little bit of crow.
What's that?
Because Sean Mannion had a darn good preseason game.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you were shitting on him.
I was. I've been one of the harshest critics of Mannion because the play time that he got in the NFL didn't impress me. He had never thrown an NFL touchdown before. But he had thrown interceptions, and he comes out and goes 7 for 13 for 102 and a score, and quarterback rating of 105.3. And you got to sit there and wonder if him just absolutely slaughtering Slaughter in the preseason was kind of a little bit of a misnomer there. Yeah.
Bit of a shock.
It's weird, man. You leave this shit up to chance and see like the staff knows what they're doing. Even like previous years, man, because I have to talk about this too because it's Vikings related sort of. But see, now we're talking about backup quarterbacks, and you see Mannion had a good outing. He still has 3 more chances to screw it up, but hey, he had a good game. It's like the staff knows what they're doing. Particular players fit well with certain coaches and schemes and systems, right? I'm hearing stuff about Case Keenum out in Washington. Good Lord, am I glad that we didn't keep that guy. I love Case more than anyone that I know. That season that he had coming in when Bradford went down was magical.
It was amazing.
He's having a hard time in Washington. It's bad. So it's kind of like the staff kind of knows what they're doing, It's weird. How about a perfect segue right there from Jason to Vikings? That's awesome. This is so cool, man. Like, this is ESPN shit right here. Like, you guys comment up, then we have something to talk about. You get a highlight. We get to say
that's gonna be awesome for people to ask questions. Like, we can have the question pop up on the chat, or on the live window for us.
Yeah, I'm loving this already. I don't know why this didn't pop up as like the primary option for anybody who wants to get people together in different locations and stream, because I'm having a lot of fun with this.
And I don't know about you guys, but the audio quality, the video quality for this is excellent. Like, it's not lagging behind like what used to happen periodically with Google Hangouts.
No, it's pretty crisp and clean. We also do, while we're talking about Kyle Slaughter, it's not like Slaughter had a bad preseason game at all. In fact, he tore things up when he had the opportunity. 6 of 7, 7 yards and a touchdown. Quarterback rating of 143.2. He went out there and he had a very good game.
Hey, I personally love the fact that all 3 of the Vikings quarterbacks threw a touchdown and looked good.
Yeah, that's got to be very reassuring. And
when is the last time as a Vikings fan you have said that about a preseason performance?
Well, you said all 3, but you did not mention quarterback 4, Jake Browning, who he even had a pretty decent day. 2 of 3 for 18 yards for your 4th quarterback. Take that.
Sure.
I mean, mostly all they did was hand off the ball, but nothing wrong with that either.
I don't want to switch off of a good subject because I love when the quarterbacks have a good day, like all of them. But can we talk about the running backs too next? Because they had a really
Of course.
Yeah, that's where we're going next.
Super excited, right? We've been questioning here, and I think for good measure because he's bounced around a little bit and didn't really live up to the hype of Detroit. We've been questioning what Amir Abdullah's role is going to be. He broke off a long run. Mike Boone looked really good yesterday. We didn't have to worry about Dalvin Cook getting injured. Mike Zimmer already said he didn't want to play on the turf, so he didn't play yesterday. But the depth is looking really good. Alexander Madison, I'm super pumped for this kid. So the running back group looks really, really good.
I was getting excited about Amir Abdullah. I'm like, wow, he's getting it all together. And then there came the fumble.
He had a fumble on the stat sheet.
So it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation.
Yeah.
He's got this great speed and agility, and he can bust things open if he gets the chance, but he's got to hold on to that football. That's one of the things that you've got to love about Mike Boone and Alexander Mattison. They aren't really going to let go of that football unless something happens. Mattison, of course, went against the first-team Saints defense. He struggled a little bit, only averaged 3.3 yards per carry, but he did pound through some holes and try to do what he could to fight through, and you got to kind of appreciate that he was able to do what he did against the competition. Pat Elflein doesn't look like his full self yet. Brian O'Neill sat this game out with Rashad Hill taking over, and Hill kind of struggled a little bit. So I'm wondering if the offensive line will be the same once Brian O'Neill comes back in. But Alexander Mattison, like I said, I was excited to see him, and I was glad to see him get a touchdown. Mike Boone, we saw why he is more of a power back than a speed back, because if he had a little bit more speed, he'd have taken that ball to the house. But he rumbled and bumbled and stumbled all as far as he could, and he had that nice 64-yard run that should have made a lot of fans smile.
I love the Vikings' depth at running back right now. I think that there's all kinds of potential just up and down for these guys who can contribute. And like Kyle Smith and I were chatting about earlier today too, we got to see something that we haven't really seen from the Vikings in a while. They were running a 2-back set where they were out there. They were using CJ Ham, and they were kind of like faking handing the ball to him. And I can totally, this is going to happen at some point in the regular season. They're going to fake the handoff, and then at some point they're just going to freaking give it to CJ Ham, and he's going to bust out a long run and score us a touchdown. And we're all going to be like, where did that come from?
That's one thing I noticed during this preseason game a lot, and you touched great on this, is that the Vikings made great use of having a fullback out there to go with the tight ends that were on the field, and they were able to use play action to open up a lot of things, and I think that that's going to be a really sneaky thing that's going to open up some big plays down the field, or even like short, mid-range runs.
Oh, definitely.
That's going to be exciting. We've got a question in the chat here. Adder Noir says, Boone versus Abdullah will be an interesting battle. Do you think Amir's return ability will outweigh his droppy hands? I already feel like the Vikings coaching staff likes Abdullah enough where he's going to make the roster.
Yep.
I don't really agree with that. I think that Mike Boone shows a little bit more promise, even though he's a little bit more limited in what he can do. But it's Abdullah's work on special teams and his ability to fill in and be that shifty back. The kind that Mr. Marijuana that just left, the kind that he was.
Holy fuck.
Mr. Marijuana.
Okay.
I remember.
What do you guys think?
Who was that?
Adder,
Rock Thomas?
I have to give you this. This is a great question. I'm loving. We're gonna rave about this format for a couple of weeks now. Awesome.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's gonna be. We're gonna talk about it, so you guys just bear with us because we're excited. It's a good thing, but Marcus Sherrill's found his way on the team for so many years because he did one thing really fucking good. And it wasn't like going to blow you away, but in some of those games where we needed a boost, he would punt return it for a fucking touchdown or get you 60 yards.
Yeah.
If Amir Abdullah is the clear-cut winner at the kick return spot, he's going to make the team. And he's only going to be it's only going to amplify his chances to get up on the team's roster, too, because he has depth at running back. And Kyle and I were talking about this earlier, just him and I, one-on-one. We want Dalvin Cook to succeed, and we want him to be here, and I think he's going to be here for the long haul. But the biggest knock on him is he going to be on the field Sundays? So you got to have depth at running back, and if that's your kick returner, too, he's absolutely going to be on the team. I'm with Adam, too. I think that for some odd reason, like, the Vikings coaching staff has a little love affair with this guy. They want him to make the team, and they're finding every which way they can get him on the team.
Yeah, that unofficial depth chart was a little surprising to see him at running back 3, and then you kind of scroll down a little bit and you see, they have him as the kick returner and the punt returner.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's kind of all coming together. I think they see his versatility as being something great, but I don't think that Mike Boone's going to be on the outside looking in, and that's going to be strange because Minnesota will then have 4 running backs and 1 fullback. It's a lot of backs.
So you're thinking they're going to keep Cook, Madison, Boone, Abdullah, and
Ham.
Ham. So what are we doing?
There was another guy who looked really good.
How many tight ends are we keeping then?
Blasingame looked really good too, the backup fullback.
Yeah.
Made some pretty good plays there. Nice to see him get a game ball. I think 4 tight ends too. I think this is a year where we're going to see 5 wide receivers.
So we're just going to cut. We're just going to cut every receiver other than Thielen and Diggs. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the Vikings are going to do what they can. I think that we're going to see more special teamers come from the running back spot than from linebackers, because normally you see a lot of special teamers being on linebackers. And I don't think that we're going to see that this year. So rather than having 6 linebackers, I think we're going to have like the 5 linebackers, maybe 6, and then follow that up by using that extra spot on running backs, especially with Abdullah handling so much on special teams. Because before in the past, the Vikings used to use one roster spot exclusively on special teamers. You know, especially when you had Cordero Patterson returning kicks, and he wasn't really used too much at wide receiver. And, you know, and then you had the punt returner situation with Sherrills, where Sherrills had a roster spot, but he was never really used at corner. So those kind of spots those spots are gone on the roster, and they are going to people who contribute a little bit more on offense or defense. So,
and I personally like that. I mean, Marcus Sherrills was a fan favorite, and yeah, he was really good at what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, when you were having to sign garbage corners off the street because you didn't want to play him at the position that he's listed as, I mean, it was time for him to go. Like, we can keep our special teams guys like Amir Abdullah, but they also have to contribute on the field, I think, in other ways as well too.
So let's move on to the Vikings pass catchers, because there were some surprises that came out of this game. Last season, Tyler Conklin was kind of invisible. Other than a couple plays, he didn't really make much of an impact at all. This preseason game, he came out, had 2 balls thrown his way, and caught them both for 56 yards, led the team in receiving yards, and honestly, he made a real good case for leapfrogging to that number 3 spot on the tight end depth chart, which is where he currently is on the unofficial list.
Nice.
I overlooked that spot. I was too excited about the running backs and looking at the defense to see who had the defensive stats. I didn't know that he led the team yesterday in receiving yards, so that's on me. But, man, that's going to be interesting, man, because we were just talking about the backs and how many there potentially it could be that we're going to keep. I'm really excited about Irv Smith, but if we keep all those tight ends and running backs, I'm thinking you guys help me out because you guys are smarter at reading and watching football than I am. But there's so much.
I don't know about that.
There's so much creativity that can come out of 2 tight end sets and 2 running back sets. It just gets me super excited because it's going to change what we're normally used to seeing.
Yeah.
It'll be strange to see how they handle this David Morgan situation, because recently, I think it was within the month, Morgan had an operation to clean up his knee a little bit, you know, clean up some of the debris and whatnot from his last surgery. And he's having to take some time off. And of course, he's a free agent after this season. So if he's designated, you know, if the Vikings expect him to miss some time, do you think that they'd actually just let him go to keep a different player?
Would they IR him for 6 weeks?
I think the drafting of Irv Smith Jr. would increase his chances of leaving. And then, you know, we're talking about Conklin, right? You just don't know. Last year wasn't his year, as you mentioned. And if he comes out and has an amazing preseason, and then obviously we're going to keep Smith because he's a 2nd-round pick. Yeah, I could absolutely see him letting him walk. I don't want him to, but I don't know.
Jason Tavada in the chat wants to know, is there any possibility Tyler Conklin usurps Irv Smith on the depth chart? I heard he's looking great at camp. I'm going to say no. As much as Tyler Conklin has looked good in that preseason game, I think that Irv Smith also made a pretty good impression, made a few catches, made a few plays. And I think that him being a young draft pick, they're going to try to get him experience. And even though he's going to kind of be eased into things, I still see him as the number 2 behind Rudolph.
Mike Zimmer doesn't name drop players without being asked about them too often during press conferences, and he brings up Irv Smith a lot Zimmer seems to be a big fan of Irv Smith Jr. So I think that
Purple
should
Rain.
tell you. I'm telling you, man, that should tell you what you need. Purple Rain. That should tell you what you need to know about what Mike Zimmer thinks of him right there. How did he spell purple, Adam?
Puple.
There you go. I want to change the name of our podcast to that.
Good old Roll Tide, man. All that good education down in Alabama. Jesus Christ. I like him though, man. I see him as being like a hybrid kind of tight end. Could be one of those big, tall, speedy. He's not going to be a big block and polar bear like Gronk was, but yeah, he could do it all. I'm really excited about him. But Jason, no, I don't think so. I'm with Adam, and I think Kyle said the same thing. Yeah. They brought him in the second round. He was kind of a steal at that position, if you ask me. And
the Vikings were eyeing him up the whole time, and they didn't hide it one bit.
Yeah.
They brought him in to talk about how much they liked him. So when he was available in that second round, there was no questioning who they were taking. None at all.
That pick reminds me a lot of us getting Dalvin Cook in the second round, or even Eric Kendricks years past before. These guys that absolutely could have been at the top of the second or the end of the first. I don't think that's going to happen. But this tight end situation, now that we brought it up and people have asked, it's going to be interesting. This is going to be one of the things I personally look for going into roster cuts to see who makes it, because we develop a bond with these players. You know, we've never met them. We don't have any special ties to them, but you see them, you want them to succeed. I remember the game against Kirk Cousins 2 years ago. David Morgan caught a fucking touchdown because we scored like 1 million points that game, and I was super happy for him. And now thinking 2 years later, it's like, man, I don't even know if he's gonna make the fucking team. This is, you get kind of sentimental with it. So we'll keep you updated.
For sure. Let's move on and talk about another pass catcher. But if you're only gonna make one catch in a game, you want to make it like Adam Thielen did.
Oh boy!
It was only a 34-yard reception, but the work that he had to put into positioning himself, reaching through a defender to get that football, it's kind of a shame that wasn't a touchdown, that it ended up just short of the goal line, because that play shows that Adam Thielen is always in game form.
That was.
Did you guys know?
Go ahead, Kyle. Sorry.
Did you guys know Adam Thielen is undrafted?
I think I heard about that once or twice.
Yeah.
How do I follow that one up? God, that's going to be every game until he fucking retires. That catch and throw was on par, just like week 2 last year in Green Bay, which was Kirk Cousins' best throw, and probably, well, I don't know if it's Adam Thielen's best catch from last year, but that throw and catch was almost to a T, but there was only one defender on in this game rather than 2.
Eli Apple.
Oh, man. It's so good. That guy is so fucking good at his job. I am so glad he's on our team. I love that guy.
Eli Apple is not known for his amazing coverage, so to put him against Adam Thielen.
Wasn't he a first-round pick?
He was.
Oh, yeah.
He was a first-round pick of the Giants, so take that with what you will.
Who you got right here? Laquan Treadwell, Eli Apple, 10 seconds left, and it's 25 yards.
Oh, God.
Who are you going to go with?
Laquan?
No, Laquan bobbles. He bobbles it. He can't catch it. It's almost an interception. The game ends in a tie.
Oh.
The universe implodes. There's no positive outcome.
They're still wondering if there are ties.
Yeah, just confused McNabb in the end zone.
That's all it is.
Adam Thielen is an amazing route runner, guys. And just his ability to adjust to footballs and make catches is just... It's unprecedented. He is a damn good receiver for the Vikings, in case you guys did not know that.
Now, Diggs did not officially have a catch in this game, but like I said, he snagged that first catch of the game that got called back for a holding penalty. That would have been a first down. So I'm not going to say he did nothing. He did everything that was asked of him. So the duo there, the Thielen-Diggs duo, you should not have any complaints about those guys.
It's back.
We've got a question in the chat. Adder Noir says Apple's coverage was pretty... Wait, that's not the question. Let's get rid of that.
That is a good statement, though.
But here's the question. What did you think of Garrett Sweaty Butt Bradbury in his first NFL start? Well, as we talked about a little bit earlier, Kirk Cousins actually had a little bit of a pocket, and the running back wasn't being met at the line of scrimmage by defenders. So you've got to kind of be excited. I mean, even though I like I said, Pat Offline isn't where he really wants to be yet, or so it seems, because I know that he's got the potential to be the guy he was as a rookie. Maybe it's a confidence issue. Maybe he's just trying to work his way back. I don't know. But there are a lot of things to really love about Bradbury, and the fact that he can be a really good pass protector and a bulldozer, and in this scheme works towards his strengths. You got to really love that.
I was trying really hard not to bring up the butt sweat thing this episode, but we just couldn't avoid
I'm all
it.
for it. I want us to cover every stupid small thing, and if ass sweat is on the list, then we're going to tackle that. I'm super here for it.
If this is what the Vikings rookie hazing is, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to see like Tim Tebow's haircut or anything.
that was great.
The Friar Tuck. Oh.
Yeah, the Friar Tuck was great. I have a special place in my heart for Garrett Bradbury. Being from Charlotte, I grew up 30 minutes from there. Not so much an NC State fan, but I'm super excited about this kid. It is exactly what we needed. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't do all the scouting that Adam does or Kyle does for the draft. I knew we were going to take a lineman. I thought we were going to take a tackle for some reason.
I was thinking guard.
When I saw that we had that, and then I'm listening to like Daniel Jeremiah and all these guys saying, yeah, it's probably the best center that's came out in the last 3 years. I'm like, oh, well, fuck, I'll take that guy. That's fine. I'm really excited, man. Especially with Kubiak being here, as we've mentioned 100 times in the last 2 months. When you find a guy that fits a scheme like that, he's going to do stuff, little stuff that you're already seeing in the first preseason game. It's a sign of good things to come. Maybe Kirk can lend him some money and get him some like double padded shirts to catch all the sweat. I don't know.
Hey, he might have already got a nice grill.
Yeah. Oh, the Traegers. Hey, I can't believe they did a little documentary of that. He's the whitest person on planet Earth, I swear.
Let's keep on moving through the stats. Kyle Rudolph caught 2 balls for 30. Kari Blasingame got 30 for 28. Irv Smith 3 for 21. And we've got others that caught 1 football. We already talked about Amir Abdullah's fumble, which if he wants to have a big role on the team, he's going to need to clean that up. It looked like he lost track of the ball when he was shifting hands and trying to move the ball away from the defense. So that may be something that Minnesota works with him a little bit more on this week in practice. Let's talk about the defense now. Cameron Smith led the way with 7 tackles, 5 of them solo. Devontae Downs, 5-3 solo. But we got to stop for a minute and talk about Jalen Holmes because he was everywhere on the football field. When you think about someone who's going to be making a lot of plays, you don't usually think of defensive tackles, but Jalen Holmes was able to move around that defensive line, play that area really well, and even get his hands on the football that was tipped that caused a pick 6. So a lot of props go to Jalen Holmes in this game because he did a lot of work. He even got a nice sack and I don't know. He had a really complete game that you got to feel good for him for.
I am excited. I'm glad that his name was brought up and cast out, and then Instagram told me about him. So now I can follow him officially and stalk his life from afar and see if he makes the team or not. Really excited, though.
Nice. In limited time, Anthony Barr was playing out of his mind. He was chasing down ball carriers like crazy. He had 4 tackles on the day. All 4 of them were solo, and he was not in the game for very long. So that shows you how much he was getting done. And this is the Anthony Barr that we want to see on the football field during the regular season.
You betcha.
And finally, there's this guy that we just are really excited about, and we haven't seen anything from yet, even though there's been a lot of hype. Hercules Mataafa went out there and he did work.
Yeah.
He had 1 sack, 2 tackles for a loss, had 2 hits on the quarterback, had 3 tackles, all of them solo. And when you watched him, he looked so small on that defensive line, but he was able to use that low center of gravity with his power, shiftiness, and elusiveness to really just kind of play with those offensive linemen and push them and spin off of them and make plays. I'm really encouraged by everything that I saw from him in this game.
He John Randall that shit.
He was next in line for my game ball. And I tell you, my favorite player being an undersized D lineman of all time. I like this kid. I'm super excited since he didn't get to join us last season. So really, really excited to see what he can do when he gets plugged in.
Okay, Adam, here's a question that I wanted to ask you in particular, because I know you're probably the biggest of the Teddy Bridgewater fans. On one hand, you were super excited anytime like the Vikings would get like a sack, but then on the other hand, you'd be like, I don't want to see Teddy get hit. So
if he's not wearing a Vikings jersey, hit him.
Oh man, I was always like, don't hit Teddy. Like, yeah, hit Teddy, but don't hit Teddy because I still love him so much.
I love him to death, and I'm glad that he had all those photos with his other teammates, from the past. I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't that impressed, and I love Teddy. I know I'm gonna get hate for that, but I wasn't that impressed with it. I didn't see too many.
Teddy Bridgewater showed great poise in the pocket. He delivered a lot of really good passes.
He did a lot of the short to intermediate passes, but he's known for that. I guess I had the Vikings goggles on before. It wasn't going to blow you away with like a Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers arm, but
he's that West Coast offense guy. They're going to chip you down the field and eat that clock, and you by the end of the game, you'll be wondering what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just happy to see him back. I love that Zimmer took time out to talk about him leading up to, and he said the same thing Adam said. Hey, good luck against anybody but us. But I'm just glad to see him playing again. And I think it was smart, just getting off the Teddy subject, but rounding it out. I think it's very smart that he took the job and stayed in New Orleans. He's a good coach, good system, pretty good city. Because I think his other option was Miami, and it's just a fucking dumpster fire down in Miami right now. They're going to have the #1 pick next year. You can go ahead and take that to the bank. I'm so glad he didn't go there and get hurt again or have a crappy season and then just be buried away on the depth chart and become a Mark Sanchez for the rest of his career. So I'm excited that he got to play again.
We got a couple comments directed at each of you guys.
Oh God.
What did we do?
Here's one for Mr. Smith or Mr. West here. Wouldn't it be hilarious if Cousins fumbles the snap multiple times during the regular season and later in the postgame blames it on Bradbury's sweaty backside?
I don't know if it would be hilarious, but that sounds like the most Vikings thing that could happen at some point this season. So yeah, book it. That'll be a thing that'll happen.
Mr. Smith, this comment is for Kyle Smith. Nathan Peter God did great against the Rams. 6 Super Bowls and he'll be in 4 Hall of Fames. He's that damn good.
God, yeah, I watched it earlier on Instagram. He broke it off for a run, and I thought it was one of those those satire pages. No, it's the NFL's Instagram page. They had him on there. Watch out, Derek Carr. John Gruden's guy, man. He's coming for you.
Gruden's going to start him. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I don't even know what to expect from Oakland anymore. That place, I have no idea.
I don't know, but I'm here for it to watch because you know what? The Browns were the laughingstock forever, and then John Gruden came to Oakland. He's like, "Get out of the way, hold my beer."
How have we not talked about Antonio Brown's helmet this far into the podcast yet?
I don't know.
Not really Vikings relevant, I don't think.
I don't know.
You could have squeezed it in when we were talking about helmets.
Oh, damn it. I dropped the ball with that one.
That would have been a great little segue. Yeah. I don't know, man. I honestly think the guy needs to be like, I think somebody needs to check on him. I think he's losing his fucking mind.
Somebody needs to check on his feet because that's nasty.
Yeah, the feet thing is one, like you're a professional athlete. You need to take better care of yourself and make sure the facility is doing everything right to take care of your body. But this whole helmet thing, and he's acting like a little kid. Somebody check on him, make sure he's all right.
Getting back to the game a little bit here, Nate Meadors had that pick 6 that I was talking about. It was a 30-yard interception. He returned to the house. That was a nice little play to bring a little bit more energy back to the Vikings. Kick returns, Jeff Badet. I think that PA pronounced it Badet, right?
I always want to say Bidet, but
yeah, it's one of those names you want to say that way, but I'm sure someone in the chat will correct us.
So
we have no worries about that. But he had 2 returns averaging 29.5. Amir Abdullah had 2 returns averaging 21.5. And Olabisi Johnson had 1 for 27.
I don't know who that is, but he...
BC?
Yeah.
BC was a 7th-round draft pick.
Didn't he catch a touchdown?
He did, a contested touchdown that he had to go up for in the end zone, and it was a nice play.
There you go. What's wrong with Laquan Treadwell?
I think it's going to come down to BC and Treadwell for that last spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Punt returns, BB had one for no yards at all.
Yeah. Oh.
Hell yeah.
But let's talk about some positives here. Dan Bailey, 4 for 4.
Oh, God.
He made all those kicks, and a lot of them went right down the middle. So there's a lot to be excited about there. And, of course, I've been rather critical of Matt Weil ever since last year when I was watching the game and I kind of spotted some irregularities in his holding style. And I got a little bit made fun of by you guys for making fun of a holder a little bit. And but, hey, what can you do? Matt Weil came out, and he had some nice holds, and he had some decent punting. He had 2 punts averaging 42.5 yards, with both of them landing inside the 20.
Nice.
So that is the Vikings coverage that we had of this game. Remember that it was a 34-25 win on the road. Next week, the Vikings are going to host the Seattle Seahawks. And I've got to stop every time so I don't say Supersonics. That's how old I am.
Well, with how
that...
shitty their ownership is right now, I'm betting you that everybody in Oklahoma wishes they'd ship them back to Seattle.
Oh, no.
Bad. There's your NBA update for the year. Oh, God. Yeah, that'll be fun. Probably get a drive of Russell Wilson and whatever running back they have that I don't know of.
Russell Wilson didn't play in the first game, so I'd be a little surprised to see him play in this one.
Well, maybe not. See, this is why we have Adam here, because he makes me look like an idiot. Let's see. Tyler Lockett is still there, I believe, but I don't know of any other. Doug Baldwin retired, I believe. So I don't know who the hell they have anymore. I know they have the Twins on defense. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing in Seattle.
Let's talk a little bit about the NFC North, because something happened that it impacts a division rival and made me a little uncomfortable. So we got to talk a little bit about Jermaine Kerr.
Broken leg.
That injury to Jermaine Kearse is it's brutal. It's brutal. I hate seeing someone's leg flop around.
Oh, God. I have not heard about this at all, and I don't want to see it. What?
Oh, boy.
Play for?
Yeah, so he's going to be gone for at least the season.
What team is he on?
Detroit Lions.
Man. I'm sorry, guys. You guys can just kill me in the comments. Is he an offensive or defensive player?
Let's see. We've got some chat in here. We're talking about. Oh, he's a wide receiver, by the way.
Oh, man.
Fire Breather's got some comments about the Seahawks. He hates the Seahawks. It's so stall facing them. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's some sort of new hip lingo. Oh, stale. There we go. Boom. We got it.
No, Fire Breather. It'll be stale until about the end of the third quarter, and then somebody will break out a 60-yard run, and then we will collapse. So
I'm going to leave this school up here for a little bit just because I like a little cat on the corner.
Blaze One and Chill. That's the best fucking name ever.
Looks like Adam Noir saw that injury, and he agrees that it's a nasty one. The Lions already kind of have a little bit of a struggle for talent. We probably see them use a lot more tight ends now, unless they can go out and get a decent free agent. There's a chance they could go after Mike Wallace to replace him.
Mike Wallace, I know Des Bryant's still out there. I don't know that he wants to play anymore, but he's still available. So
almost as ugly as the Lions' performance. Oh,
they're going to sign all the receivers that we cut in Minnesota.
Michael Jenkins, there you go.
Laquan Treadwell will be a Detroit Lion in August. Wait for it.
All right, so that is essentially all I wanted to talk about this week. Do you guys have anything else you want to add in?
I'm good on my end. I'm excited for football. Like, I know it's only preseason, but it's nice to get back into, for us especially, knock some rust off and get into doing these game balls and donkeys and the format of doing actual game talk again. Because this is what's fun. The off-season shows are entertaining in their own way, but what really keeps us, like, this is where we have our most fun, is when it's regular season, and we can sit down and we can talk Vikings football. So I'm really excited to get back to talking about that.
I'm also really excited to put this new format.
Me too.
Man, that's why I was just laughing just now. Shout out to Fire Breather and the Laquan Treadwell jokes that never stop.
And yes, we do try to do this every week. We'll talk about each and every football game we can. Even during the off season, we go every week. So if you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, because we'll be here talking football, and we love it.
Yeah, Kyle and Adam usually keep up with the YouTube chats when we had YouTube going. I don't know that I've seen this particular user or username before. Or person
I know I've never seen that cat before.
If this
like the
is
cat.
your first time, like, hey, we really appreciate it. This is a brand new format, so you picked a really cool week to jump in. Adam's in control of it now. I'm going to try to see if I can't figure it out as well, so we can do it on days that one of us might be gone. But we can throw this up and talk to you guys. It's a really cool format, and I'm excited about it too, man. I'm really excited about this and to kind of figure out what else we can do, because this is just the initial trial run right now.
Yeah, we kind of threw this together when we realized that Hangouts on Air was no longer working. So right now we're really enjoying StreamYard. I think this might be what we end up going with moving forward.
I don't want to learn anything else. So yes, it will be.
Kyle West was so pissed when we started this, and then this format just came in and just immediately rushed off.
Oh man, I was
this
pissed.
is actually really cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for subscribing. We appreciate it. It's always nice to have people here. Let's see. Lots of space at the top of the screen. Maybe the text should be at the top. Well, there is a way to put some banners for text, and we can always move our cameras down a little bit to put our heads up there and have some stuff at the bottom for banners. See, we can do that kind of stuff, and then we can do banners, which is kind of fun.
I have my phone resting on a thermostat, so I'm not too.
For example, that one that I always have ready to go.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kyle Smith, you're over there recording from Little House on the Prairie with your no Wi-Fi.
I'm in the fucking Stone Age. I'm surprised this even worked, honestly.
Actually, the whole moving the cameras thing was a really good suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah.
But we've also got this time is for me. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take a little bit of this time. Anyone watch NXT tonight and SummerSlam tomorrow? I did watch NXT TakeOver Toronto tonight, and I do plan on watching SummerSlam tomorrow. Don't tell anybody that I'm not going to watch Fear the Walking Dead till a later broadcast, because that's kind of what I'm paid to do. But I'm watching SummerSlam instead, and I'm looking forward to it. NXT TakeOver Toronto was an excellent show. I always recommend those takeovers because they usually end up being better than the WWE broadcasts. They're main card people, and I don't know. Is there anyone better than Gargano? I don't think so.
No, there's not.
I really don't.
No, that's a pretty easy answer for that one.
If you can't watch him and be entertained, I don't know.
Adam Cole's pretty damn good too.
Oh, those two put on a great match tonight. Best 2 out of 3 falls. I recommend you check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I'll have to get caught up with that after I get caught up with the Vikings.
I do have a suggestion before you leave. You said if you got anything else. Yeah, I've got something, everyone. Check out this cool fucking shirt I have on.
There it is.
Oh!
Go get one. This is a long sleeve. Very excited about it. We have short sleeve, tank tops, hoodies. Mr. Kyle West, he does all that stuff. I just wanted to support.
Thank you.
I had to since I'm on the show. But yeah, these shirts are pretty cool, man. The material's nice, and yeah, you should go get one. They come in a shit ton of variety, like I said, of colors and styles, like hoodies, tank top, short sleeve, long sleeve, whatever you want. Kids stuff too.
We've got the link pinned to the top of our Facebook page, I believe. If you scroll down on that Facebook page, you will find the link to enter our Survival League for Minnesota Vikings themed prizes. I highly recommend you and any Vikings fans go and sign up for that Survival League, because not only can you win some cool prizes, but it's a lot of fun along the way. Are you signed up, Mr. Smith?
I'm going to go do it right now.
There we go. I like it. All right, that's all I have for today. I do want to recommend people check out the Viking Age if they want to see my work over there. I just put up some articles today talking about the MVPs from the game and the best and the worst. So if you want to see me get a little bit of critical, I dog on some people and some things in there, and I like to be a positive person, but every once in a while you got to point out where a little bit of improvement can be made. Over on Undead Walking, I'm still a little bit crushed that the comic books for The Walking Dead came to an end. It hurts my soul that happened, but things happen and things got to move on. But thankfully, there are still 2 TV shows on television, a 3rd television show on the way, and 3 movies in the works.
A movie coming, right?
Movie trilogy based on Rick Grimes.
Whoa.
A lot of Walking Dead on the way.
That's awesome.
So if you're interested in any of that, check out my work on the Viking Age or Undead Walking. Buy some shirts from Kyle's website. Or if you're not into the Purple People podcast as much and don't want to wear that around, there's a cool Hulk Hogan design that you can get on anything. People seem to like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sold one on a beach towel and a little kid's... What do you call those things? Smith, you have a kid. What do you
Get a shower curtain and...
yeah.
That Hulk design, it's popular.
I guess. I don't know.
But all right, we'll be back next week. We're not going to do a preview show for the game against Seattle because I don't think that we really need to do that. We will do a show afterwards, talk about that game, what happened, and it'll be kind of like this. Hopefully, we'll be doing it still with StreamYard because I'm kind of digging this. And I hope to see you guys back here next week. Yeah.
We'll figure more of this out, Adam, and we'll get it going. We'll get intros. We'll get everything for this shit.
Oh, eventually we'll get this all figured out. Thank you, everyone, for stopping in, and stay classy, Minnesota.